Have you ever felt that strange, sudden tightness in your chest when someone texts you, "Hey, I'm coming over"? You smile at your phone. You type back, "Sure, sounds good." But deep inside, something sinks. A quiet voice in your head whispers, "There goes my peace." And instantly, your home doesn't feel like your home anymore. It feels like a stage you didn't agree to step onto. You start thinking about the couch cushions, the dishes in the sink, the silence that's about to disappear. Not because you hate that person, not because you're unfriendly, but because something sacred is about to be disturbed. If you know that feeling, you're not broken, you're not rude, you're not antisocial, and you're definitely not alone. Today, we're diving into the psychology of why some people genuinely hate having guests over, even when they deeply like the people walking through their door. Why does something so normal, so social, feel so heavy to some minds? Why does your body tense up before your logic even has time to respond? By the end of this video, you're going to understand what this reaction really says about your personality, your emotional boundaries, and the way your brain protects your peace. More importantly, you're going to realize there's nothing wrong with you for feeling this way. In fact, it might mean you're far more emotionally intelligent and self-aware than you've ever been told. For some people, home is just a place where you eat, sleep, and store your stuff. But for others, home is something much deeper. It's an emotional sanctuary. It's the one place in the world where your nervous system finally relaxes, where your shoulders drop, where your breathing slows down, and where you don't have to be on for anyone. Out there, in the real world, you're constantly performing. You're polite, you're aware of how you sound, you're monitoring your expressions, your tone, your timing. Even when you enjoy being around people, your brain is still working quietly in the background. But the moment you step into your home and close the door, something shifts. The mask comes off. The pressure dissolves. You become yourself again. So when someone enters that space, even a friend you love, the energy changes. The silence breaks. The sense of total safety fades just a little. It's not dramatic. It's subtle. But your mind feels it instantly. Because your home isn't just four walls. It's your emotional reset button. Psychologically, people who struggle with having guests over often have something called territorial comfort. Their home isn't just a physical space. It's a carefully balanced emotional environment. Every object is where they want it. Every sound is familiar. Every routine happens in a predictable rhythm that tells the brain, "You're safe here." So when a guest arrives, even a welcome one, that balance gets disrupted. It's like a perfectly calm pond that suddenly has a pebble dropped into it. Nothing terrible happens. The water doesn't spill, but the ripples spread everywhere. The atmosphere changes, the predictability disappears, and your nervous system notices immediately. It's not that you don't like the person. It's that your brain is wired to crave control over the one space where it finally feels regulated. When that control is lost, even slightly, your mind interprets it as a threat to your internal equilibrium. That's why the discomfort feels automatic, irrational, and completely out of proportion to what's actually happening. Another huge piece of this puzzle is something psychologists often call your social battery. Some people recharge by being around others, but for many, especially introspective or emotionally sensitive people, social interaction slowly drains their energy, even when it's pleasant. Out in the world, you're constantly managing yourself. You're listening closely, you're responding thoughtfully, you're reading the room, you're making sure the other person feels comfortable, respected, and understood. All of that takes mental effort, so by the time you finally get home, your battery is already low. Home is where you plug yourself back in, but when a guest comes over, something frustrating happens. The mask goes right back on. The performance resumes. You're suddenly on again in the one place where you're supposed to be off. And even if you love that person, your energy starts draining quietly in the background, like a phone losing battery percentage without you noticing. That's why you can enjoy the visit and still feel exhausted afterward. It's not emotional coldness, it's emotional labor. And the more empathetic and considerate you are, the faster that invisible battery runs out. Here's the part most people never talk about. The ones who suffer the most when guests come over are often the nicest, warmest, most caring people in the room. Not the cold ones, not the selfish ones, the emotionally generous ones. These are the people who don't just coexist with their guests, they monitor everything. Is the room too cold? Are they bored? Do they need a drink? Am I talking too much? Am I talking too little? They're constantly adjusting themselves to protect the other person's comfort. So while everyone else is relaxing, they're quietly working. Their mind is running a background program of emotional management. And that kind of hyper-attunement is exhausting. That's why, when the door finally closes behind a guest, they feel something close to relief. Not because they didn't enjoy the person, not because they're ungrateful, but because silence feels like oxygen to them. The quiet isn't empty, it's restorative. It's the moment their nervous system finally stands down from high alert and remembers what it feels like to be alone inside their own body again. Psychologists say that people who feel this way often have unusually strong emotional boundaries. Not walls, boundaries. They don't push people away. They don't hate connection. They simply protect the spaces that keep them psychologically whole. To them, home is not a stage. It's not a place to perform, entertain, or impress. It's the one place where their identity can exist without an audience. It's who they are when no one is watching, judging, or needing anything from them. That's why many of these people prefer meeting friends in neutral places. Coffee shops, parks, restaurants. Anywhere their inner world can stay safely theirs. In those spaces, they can be social without sacrificing their sanctuary. And this isn't avoidance. It's self-regulation. It's an intuitive understanding of their own emotional limits. They know that too much access to their private space doesn't just tire them out. It slowly erodes their sense of self. So they choose distance not out of rejection, but out of psychological self-respect. For some people, this discomfort goes even deeper, all the way back to childhood. In many homes, guests didn't mean warmth or connection. They meant stress, pressure, noise, tension. Suddenly, everything had to be perfect. The house had to be clean. The kids had to behave. The adults became anxious, irritable, or performative. So the child's nervous system learned something very specific. When people come over, safety goes down. Even if no one ever explained that out loud, the body absorbed it. The atmosphere changed. The emotional tone shifted. And over time, the brain quietly wired those moments to stress and hypervigilance. Now, years later, as an adult, the same reaction still fires. A guest texts, "I'm coming by," and your body tightens before your mind can reason. You know logically that nothing bad is going to happen, but your nervous system doesn't care about logic. It cares about memory. Because here's the truth most people never realize. Your nervous system remembers what your mind forgot. And sometimes, what feels like introversion or antisocial behavior is actually your body trying to protect you from a kind of emotional chaos it learned long ago. So if you've always felt strange for hating the idea of having people over, here's the truth. You're not broken, you're not antisocial, and you're not emotionally cold. You're environmentally sensitive. Your mind and body are deeply tuned to shifts in atmosphere, energy, and emotional demand. You feel it when a space stops being yours. You feel it when silence turns into performance. You feel it when your nervous system has to switch from rest mode back into social mode. And that sensitivity isn't a flaw. It's a form of awareness most people don't even realize exists. You can love people deeply and still crave solitude. You can care about others and still guard your peace. You can enjoy connection and still need long stretches of quiet to feel like yourself again. That doesn't make you difficult. It makes you honest about your limits. And in a world that constantly demands access to your time, your energy, and your attention, protecting your inner space isn't selfish. It's psychological survival. So now I'm curious. Are you like this too? Do you feel that quiet tension the moment someone says they're coming over, even if you genuinely like them? If this video put words to something you've always felt, but never knew how to explain, share your experience in the comments. You might be surprised how many people feel exactly the same way. And if you enjoy simple, honest explanations of everyday psychological habits, consider subscribing. We talk about the hidden patterns behind how people think, feel, and protect their peace. I think you'll feel understood here. See you in the next one.